Imagine finding out your daughter married someone you barely know, and she didn't even invite you. But what if that perfect life she showed everyone hides a dangerous secret? Watch as one mother uncovers the truth, fights to protect her daughter, and takes back control in ways no one saw coming. Stick around and don't blink. You won't want to miss a second. Hit that subscribe button now to follow the full story and comment below. What would you do if you were in Ellie's shoes? Let's talk about it. Ellie Grant sat at her tiny kitchen table, cradling a lukewarm cup of coffee. The morning sun spilled through the blinds, dust motes dancing like tiny gold flecks in the air. She took a sip, savoring the warmth, and scrolled aimlessly through her phone. Usually, this was her quiet moment, a tiny pocket of peace before the day's errands began. But today, her thumb froze mid-scroll. There it was, a photo that made her heart stop. Maddie, her Maddie, smiling in a flowing white dress, arm wrapped around some guy Ellie had never met. The caption read, "Best day ever. Mr. and Mrs. Carter forever red wedding vibes happily ever after." Ellie blinked. Wait, what? She tapped the photo again and again. Her mind refused to process it. This wasn't an invitation, it wasn't a text, it wasn't even a call. She hadn't known about the wedding, not one hint, not a "Hey mom, can you come?" Nothing. Sigh, she set her coffee down, feeling it suddenly cold in her hand. Her chest tightened, her stomach churned. All those years, late nights folding laundry, double shifts at the diner, saving every penny for Maddie's dance recitals, school trips, college tuition, and for what? To be reduced to a stranger's name in a Facebook post. Ellie leaned back in her chair, rubbing her temples. Her mind raced through memories. Maddie's first steps, her stubborn teen years, the night she stayed up until 2 a.m. sewing a costume for Maddie's school play. She had poured everything into that girl, and now she didn't even exist in Maddie's biggest moment. Her phone buzzed. A notification popped up. It was from Aunt Rosa. "Saw the photos, girl, what the hell?" Ellie's lips trembled, and she whispered a laugh that was more bitter than anything else. What the hell, indeed. Ellie tried to call Maddie twice, straight to voicemail both times. She left a message that sounded calm, controlled. "Hey, sweetie, just saw the pictures. Give me a call when you can. Love you." But deep down, she felt something she hadn't felt in years, the sting of being invisible. Her hands shook as she scrolled through the comments. Friends congratulating, family congratulating, strangers chiming in. Not one mention of her. Not a single heart, not a mom would have loved this. Just silence. Ellie sank onto the couch, gripping the edge like it was a lifeboat. Her thoughts spiraled. Did I do something wrong? Did I scare her off? Memories of her late nights, her hard work, her sacrifices, all of it flashed like a slideshow in her mind. And with each memory, the sorrow twisted sharper, colder. Her phone buzzed again. Another notification. This time, a DM from a stranger, Maddie's college friend. "Ellie, saw your comment on last year's post. Thought you'd like to know you were missed at the wedding. Sad, huh?" Ellie let out a hollow laugh, then a deep sigh. She sank further into the couch cushions, hugging herself. Her home felt smaller, emptier, like the walls themselves were whispering, "You weren't invited." A tear slipped down her cheek. Ellie didn't just feel hurt, she felt erased. And in that moment, something inside her stirred. Not the kind of anger that yells, not yet. Something quieter, sharper, a seed of clarity that maybe, just maybe, it was time to stop waiting for someone else's approval. And right as she wiped her face, phone in hand, a notification popped up. Maddie had posted a story, a video from the reception. Ellie's breath caught. But this one revealed a secret. Devin, Maddie's new husband, looked tense, distracted, whispering to someone off camera. And Maddie, her smile faltered for just a second. Ellie's heart raced. Something wasn't right. And she just knew, this was the start of a story that was far from over. But what Ellie saw in that video would change everything. Her heart was broken, but her fight was about to begin. Ellie sat frozen, the glow from her phone illuminating her tear-streaked face. She watched that wedding story video over and over. Maddie's smile was radiant, but her eyes, something was off. There was tension in the way Devin leaned close, whispering something. Maddie's laugh sounded forced, like she was performing. Ellie's chest tightened. "Oh, Maddie, what's going on?" she whispered, as if the girl could hear her through the screen. Memories flooded back. The late-night talks, the small victories, the times Maddie confided secrets she didn't share with anyone else. I raised you to be honest, to be brave, and now this. Her mind spun. She couldn't stop replaying every interaction she'd had with Maddie in the last year. The short texts that felt distant, the canceled visits, the birthday calls that lasted mere minutes. Ellie realized with a sinking heart that this wasn't just about a wedding. It was about how Maddie had been quietly pulling away. And all along, Ellie had just let it happen, hoping things would return to normal. A loud sigh escaped her. "I can't believe this," she murmured, voice shaking. She reached for the framed photos on her mantel, Maddie at age 5, proudly holding a glitter-covered science project. Maddie at 13, shyly receiving an award for the school play. Her chest ached with longing and heartbreak. Then something clicked. The way Maddie looked at Devin in that video, like she was trying to convince herself something, made Ellie's instincts scream. Maddie was hiding something, not from Ellie, from everyone. Ellie felt a spark, a mix of curiosity and caution. She had raised a smart girl, smart enough to mask secrets, but maybe not smart enough to keep them from a mother who had seen it all. Ellie rubbed her temples and muttered, "Okay, calm down, Ellie. Don't jump to conclusions, but keep your eyes open." Her mind raced with possibilities. Could Maddie be unhappy? Was this marriage rushed? Was Devin really the perfect guy Maddie made him out to be? Determined not to act impulsively, Ellie grabbed her notebook. She started jotting down everything she remembered. The canceled brunches, the vague explanations for missed calls, the nervous glances Maddie had made whenever Ellie asked questions about her life. Patterns were emerging, and for the first time in years, Ellie felt a surge of control. She wasn't just the hurt mother anymore. She was watching, analyzing, waiting for the truth to reveal itself. Then the phone buzzed again. Another notification. Ellie froze. It was a message from Devin's aunt. A woman Ellie had met once at a neighborhood barbecue. "Ellie, I hope you're okay. Just wanted to say, Maddie seemed off the night before the wedding. She's keeping a lot from everyone. Be careful." Ellie's eyebrows shot up. "Off, keeping secrets?" Her heart pounded in her chest. This wasn't just a story about exclusion anymore. There was a bigger picture, and she was about to step into it. A shiver ran down her spine, not from fear, but from anticipation. The pain of being left out was still there, gnawing at her, but now it was mixed with purpose. The fire that had been quietly simmering inside her for months was flaring. She wasn't going to sit quietly anymore. She wasn't invisible. Ellie stood up, clutching her phone like a lifeline. "Okay, Ellie Grant, time to wake up. Time to see what's really going on and maybe, just maybe, take back a little power while we're at it." She glanced once more at Maddie's wedding video. Maddie's smile gleamed, but Ellie knew better now. Nothing was ever as perfect as it seemed. Little did Maddie know, her biggest surprise wasn't the wedding. It was the storm quietly building in her mother, and it was coming for her. Ellie sat cross-legged on the floor, her laptop balanced precariously on her knees. She made herself a tiny command center, coffee on one side, notebook full of scribbles on the other. The glow of the screen felt almost like a spotlight, highlighting the determination in her eyes. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, trembling, not from fear, but from a mix of excitement and that familiar spark of righteous anger. First step, social media. Ellie knew Maddie's online world better than she admitted. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all those posts, stories, and tagged photos. She'd always scrolled casually before just to peek into Maddie's life, but today it was different. Today she wasn't snooping. She was investigating. And immediately something jumped out. Maddie's posts were curated, too curated. Every picture flawless, every caption cheerful. But there were gaps. Weeks of silence, blurred locations, cropped photos where Devin's hand hovered near her shoulder, tense, not affectionate. Ellie tilted her head, squinting at the screen. That's not just editing, that's hiding something." She clicked through the tagged photos. That's when she saw it, a picture at a fancy restaurant, Devin in a suit, Maddie smiling. But there was another woman laughing in the background, hand resting on Devin's arm. A chill ran down Ellie's spine. That wasn't just a coincidence. That was a hint. Something Maddie hadn't told her, hadn't told anyone. Ellie's stomach knotted. Her instincts screamed, watch closely, observe, don't act yet. She scribbled furiously in her notebook. Strange woman at restaurant, Maddie's smile forced, Devon's tension obvious, investigate more. Her mind raced. She'd always raised Maddie to be honest, to stand tall, to fight for what she believed in. But now, Maddie was hiding from her own mother, and Ellie wasn't about to let that slide. Her phone buzzed again. Aunt Rosa's name popped up. Ellie, honey, you okay? You've been quiet all morning, spill it. Ellie exhaled slowly, trying to keep her voice steady. Rosa, I think something's off. Maddie's wedding, it's perfect on the surface, but I'm seeing cracks. Devon, there's something he's not telling. And Maddie, she's hiding it. A pause on the other end. Oh, Ellie, you've got that gut feeling, huh? Girl, trust it. You raised her to be strong, but sometimes, even the strongest kids get tangled in things they don't understand. Keep your eyes open. Ellie's lips curled into a small, grim smile. I will. I've got to know what's really happening. I can't just sit and watch anymore. She turned back to the screen, clicking on more posts, more tagged photos, scrolling carefully, analyzing every frame, every like, every comment. She noticed subtle patterns. Maddie rarely tagged Devon, always cropped out family photos, deleted certain comments. And then the clincher. A story posted late one night, quickly disappearing, but Ellie had the screenshot. Devon arguing quietly with someone off camera, Maddie's eyes welling with tears. And a caption that read, I'm stuck between what I want and what I should do. Ellie's heart ached and raced at the same time. Oh, Maddie, what did you get yourself into? She felt a rush of protectiveness, anger, and sorrow all at once. She wanted to rush over, grab her daughter, shake some sense into her, but she knew better. Patience, observation, strategy, that was her edge. She leaned back, taking a deep breath. She could feel the first flicker of something powerful, clarity. Pain still lingered, yes, but now it was paired with focus. She wasn't helpless. She wasn't invisible. And Maddie, she was about to learn that Ellie Grant wasn't the kind of mother who could be erased with a post. Little did Maddie know, every hidden secret, every forced smile, was about to come face to face with a mother who never stopped watching. Ellie sat in her car outside Devon and Maddie's apartment complex. The late afternoon sun bounced off the glass windows, making her squint, but she didn't care. Her hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. She wasn't here to yell, not yet. She was here to observe, to see the reality behind the perfect Instagram smiles. She watched as Maddie stepped out, flawless hair, designer bag, a radiant smile plastered across her face. But Ellie's eyes caught what the camera never would. Maddie's posture stiff, her fingers fidgeting with the strap of her bag. And Devon, he didn't meet her eyes. He waved at a neighbor in the building with a stiff nod, then disappeared back inside. Ellie exhaled slowly, trying to calm the swirl of emotions inside her. Heartbreak, anger, betrayal. But underneath it all was a spark, a clarity that she hadn't felt in years. No more being invisible. No more letting my heart be twisted by silence. She waited until Maddie and Devon went inside, then walked up to the front door and pressed the buzzer. A sharp click and the intercom buzzed. Maddie's voice. Ellie, hi. Hi, Maddie, Ellie said softly, almost too softly. Can we talk, just for a minute? There was a long pause. Then, sure, I'll buzz you in. Ellie's heart thudded. She didn't know if this would be calm or catastrophic. She wasn't sure if Maddie would slam the door in her face, or if she'd finally let something out. Either way, Ellie was ready. Inside, Maddie led her to the living room. The apartment was sleek, modern, a Pinterest-perfect display of a life Ellie didn't recognize. And yet, the tension in the air was thick. Ellie's gaze softened as she looked at Maddie, remembering the little girl who had once hidden behind her mother's legs during thunderstorms. Maddie, Ellie began, voice trembling but steady. I saw the photos, your wedding, on Facebook. Maddie's face tightened. Mom, Ellie held up a hand. No explanations yet. I want to understand. Why not me? Why not your family? Maddie looked down at her hands, twisting the strap of her bag. I thought you wouldn't approve, she said quietly. And Devon, he doesn't really like confrontations. I didn't want to make it complicated. Ellie's chest tightened. She had expected excuses, maybe guilt, but something in Maddie's voice told her more was hidden. "Maddie, come on, look at me. Whatever it is hiding from me doesn't fix anything." Maddie's eyes welled up. "It's not just that, Mom. There's things you don't know about Devin. Things I didn't want you to find out this way." Ellie leaned forward, heart pounding. "Maddie, whatever it is, I'm your mom. I raised you. I've always been on your side. But if you hide, I'll never be able to help you or even protect you." A long silence hung in the room. Maddie swallowed hard, and for the first time, Ellie saw the cracks behind the perfect facade. The forced smiles, the curated posts, the Instagram-perfect life, it was all fragile. Ellie's mind raced. This was her chance, not for revenge, not yet, but to reclaim connection. To let Maddie know that being excluded had hurt, yes, but there was a bigger battle ahead. One that Ellie was ready to fight alongside her daughter if Maddie would let her in. The quiet was broken by a soft knock at the door. Devin stepped in, tense, eyes darting between Ellie and Maddie. Ellie's pulse quickened. This was it, the moment where truth and confrontation collided. Ellie realized the real battle wasn't just about being left out. It was about uncovering secrets that could shatter Maddie's perfect world. And maybe, just maybe, give her a chance to take back control. Ellie stepped out of Devin and Maddie's apartment, heart racing, mind spinning. The conversation inside had left her shaken and curious. Maddie's hesitation, the way she avoided eye contact, Devin's tension, something big was hidden beneath all that perfection, and Ellie had a feeling she was about to uncover it. She walked slowly to her car, the autumn air cool against her skin, trying to calm the whirlwind of thoughts. But her instincts screamed at her, relentless. Watch, observe, don't jump in blindly, but don't let this slide either. Once inside, she pulled out her notebook and began jotting everything down. The Instagram gaps, the strange restaurant photo, Maddie's cryptic confession, Devin's body language. Patterns emerged like a map she was piecing together, one that led to a truth Maddie wasn't ready to reveal. Ellie remembered Aunt Rosa's words. "Trust your gut, Ellie. You raised her smart, but smart girls sometimes fall for the wrong ones. Keep your eyes open." Ellie exhaled, realizing this was more than maternal intuition. This was strategy, observation, preparation. And Ellie had a lifetime of experience she could use to uncover what Maddie couldn't or wouldn't say aloud. The next day, Ellie decided to start small. She made a casual visit to some neighbors she knew, asking about Devin in conversation. "Oh, he's nice, sure," one neighbor said, smiling politely. "But I've noticed he's kind of controlling. Maddie doesn't come around as much since they moved in." Ellie's ears perked up. Controlling, that fits with what I'm seeing. Later, she returned home, scrolling through more social media. And then she found it, an old post Devin had tagged from before the wedding. A picture of Maddie looking unhappy, standing near a lake, Devin leaning in aggressively. The caption was vague. "Sometimes love isn't enough." Ellie's stomach knotted. Her daughter wasn't exaggerating. Maddie had been masking her unhappiness long before the wedding. Ellie sank into her chair, whispering to herself, "Maddie, you didn't tell me everything, did you?" Her heart ached, not just for herself, but for the daughter she had raised to be strong, now quietly trapped in a situation she couldn't voice. And for the first time, Ellie felt something she hadn't in years, a surge of protective fire. She wasn't going to let this go. She wasn't going to sit by while Maddie's life, carefully curated for appearances, hid pain and possible danger. Ellie knew she had to act, but wisely, subtly, like a chess player thinking 10 moves ahead. She wouldn't rush in blindly. She would gather evidence, build understanding, and prepare Maddie for a reckoning she hadn't seen coming. Later that evening, Ellie called Aunt Rosa. "Rosa, I think Maddie's marriage isn't what it seems. Devin's different, and she's scared. I need to be careful, but I can't ignore it." Aunt Rosa's voice was firm, almost thrilled. "Ellie, honey, it's time. You've waited too long. Don't just sit on the sidelines, protect her, but protect yourself too. And don't let them think they're in control." Ellie hung up and stared out the window at the city lights, her resolve hardening. This was no longer about a Facebook post or being excluded. This was about her daughter's life, the secrets she had been forced to keep, and the truth that Ellie was determined to uncover. A small smile tugged at her lips. She still felt hurt, yes, but anger was fueling her now. And she realized something powerful. She wasn't powerless. She had experience, intelligence, and heart. And if Maddie's world had secrets, Ellie was ready to bring them to light. Ellie didn't yet know what she would discover next. But one thing was certain. The perfect life Maddie showed the world was about to crumble, and Ellie would be right there when it did. Ellie sat at her kitchen table, staring at her laptop screen, a cold cup of coffee forgotten beside her. What she had just discovered made her stomach drop, her pulse race, and a cold shiver run down her spine. Devin, he wasn't who he claimed to be. Ellie had been quietly digging, small clues, old posts, neighborhood whispers, and tonight a single document had changed everything. Devin Carter, her daughter's charming, well-dressed husband, had a past Ellie hadn't even imagined. Legal issues, shady business dealings, and rumors of manipulation that made her blood boil. Her hands shook as she typed Maddie's name and Devin's together, piecing everything she'd found into a timeline. Every Instagram story, every tense glance in photos, every secret Maddie had hinted at, it all pointed to one horrifying conclusion. Maddie had married a man who wasn't just controlling, he was dangerous. Ellie felt a surge of protectiveness so fierce it made her chest ache. No one, not even my daughter, is going to suffer alone while I sit here doing nothing. Her mind flashed back to all the moments she had sacrificed for Maddie, working 2 jobs, late nights sewing costumes, paying tuition, celebrating every little milestone. And now, all that love, all that sacrifice was fueling a new mission, getting Maddie safely out of this trap. The phone buzzed. It was Maddie. Ellie's heart clenched. She answered, trying to keep her voice calm, but the tremor betrayed her. "Mom, I don't know what to say." Maddie's voice quivered, the sweet, familiar tone Ellie remembered from childhood twisted with fear. "Just breathe, Maddie. Talk to me," Ellie urged. "I've noticed things you're hiding. It's okay. I just want to know the truth." Maddie hesitated, a heavy sigh then. "It's Devin. He's not who he says he is. I thought I loved him, but I was blind. He's controlling, Mom. He isolates me, gaslights me. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing myself." Ellie felt a lump in her throat. Her little girl, trapped in a golden cage. She could practically feel Maddie's panic, her tears, her shame. "Oh, Maddie, you're not alone. I've got you. We're going to figure this out together." Maddie sobbed softly, the sound breaking Ellie's heart, but also igniting a fierce determination. "I don't know if I can leave, Mom. He threatens everything if I try." Ellie's jaw tightened. "Then we'll outsmart him. We'll protect you. You won't face this alone." She could already feel the gears turning, small, careful steps to reclaim her daughter's life, to expose the lies, and to make Devin's manipulations crumble. Ellie hung up and sat in silence for a moment, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the distant city noises. Her heart was pounding, her mind racing. The pain of being excluded from the wedding, a flicker compared to this. This was bigger. This was about survival, courage, and finally taking control. Her eyes glinted with resolve. Maddie had to be saved, yes, but Ellie also realized something thrilling. The woman who had been invisible, ignored, and sidelined for years was finally awakening. Not just as a mother, but as a force. She wouldn't just watch from the sidelines anymore. A knock at the door startled her. Ellie opened it to find Aunt Rosa, eyes wide, hands trembling with excitement and concern. "Honey, I think it's time to move. You've got the proof, the instinct, now go get her." Ellie nodded, a small, fierce smile crossing her face. "Yes, it's time." Ellie knew the storm had just begun, and the next move could either save her daughter or bring everything crashing down. Ellie paced her living room, her mind buzzing with plans. The documents, screenshots, and witness statements she had quietly compiled over the last few days felt like a secret arsenal. Every piece of evidence against Devin made her pulse race. She wasn't just a worried mom anymore, she was a strategist. Her phone buzzed. It was Maddie. Ellie's heart leapt. "Hey, baby, how are you holding up?" she asked, trying to sound calm and reassuring. I don't know, Mom," Maddie's voice quivered. "I feel trapped. He's always watching, always checking. I can't even make a call without him knowing. Ellie exhaled. Okay, step 1, observation. Step 2, plan. Step 3, extraction. She had faced challenges in her life before, but nothing like this. And yet, a fierce determination took root in her chest. Her daughter needed her, and Ellie would move mountains to protect her. She drove to a quiet cafe where she and Maddie used to meet when she was in college. They would sit for hours, talking about dreams, fears, life. Ellie smiled faintly at the memory. It was a small, nostalgic anchor. This would be their first real meeting since the wedding, face to face, away from Devon's shadow. Maddie arrived, glancing over her shoulder nervously. Ellie stood and hugged her tightly, feeling the tremble of her daughter's body. "Mom, I've missed this," Maddie whispered. Ellie led her to a booth, speaking softly. "Listen, Maddie, I know things are complicated. I know he's controlling and I know you're scared. But we're going to figure this out together. You are not alone." Tears welled up in Maddie's eyes, and she gripped Ellie's hand tightly. "I don't know if I can leave him, Mom. What if he retaliates? What if he ruins me?" Ellie's jaw tightened. "Then we outsmart him. We don't confront him blindly. We gather evidence, plan carefully, and take small steps. You have me and I have your back, always." Maddie sniffled, her relief visible. I've never felt this safe in months." Ellie's mind raced. Step 1, establish communication and independence. Step 2, gather proof of Devon's manipulations. Step 3, subtly inform trusted allies who could intervene if needed. Step 4, give Maddie the confidence to reclaim her life. Ellie smiled, a faint glint of determination in her eyes. "We'll start with small wins, baby. For now, just remember, he may try to scare you, isolate you, or guilt you. But he can't control your heart, your mind, or me. Not anymore." They sat together, making small plans, brainstorming exits, rehearsing conversations Maddie might need, and most importantly, building Maddie's confidence. Ellie felt something she hadn't felt in years: power. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that protects, guides, and restores. As they left the cafe, Maddie's step was lighter, her eyes brighter. Ellie walked beside her, heart swelling with pride and determination. She knew Devon wouldn't expect what was coming, and that gave her an edge. That night, Ellie sat in her room, reviewing her evidence, making careful notes. Her mind was sharp, her resolve stronger than ever. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about survival, dignity, and freedom. And somewhere deep inside, a flicker of excitement stirred. The game was on. Ellie knew every move counted, and the next step could either shatter Devon's control or put Maddie in more danger than she'd ever imagined. Ellie sat in her favorite chair, notebook open, laptop humming softly beside her. She reviewed the evidence she'd collected, screenshots, financial records, and subtle inconsistencies in Devon's social media posts. Every detail painted the same picture. Devon wasn't just controlling, he had a hidden agenda, and Maddie had unknowingly walked into a trap. Her phone buzzed. "Maddie," Ellie's heart skipped a beat. "Hey baby, how's everything?" she asked, keeping her tone light but sharp. I don't know, Mom. He's home and I feel trapped," Maddie admitted, her voice trembling. "I tried to speak up today, but he just shuts me down, makes me feel crazy." Ellie clenched her jaw. "That stops now." She spoke firmly but lovingly. "Maddie, listen carefully. You don't have to fight him head-on, not yet. You start small. Little things that remind him he doesn't control everything. Your life, your choices, they're yours, understand." Maddie's sobs softened. I understand, but I feel scared, Mom." Ellie's voice softened, but her resolve didn't waver. "Good, that fear, that's fuel. You'll learn to use it. Step by step, we're going to take back control, and I'm here for every single step." Later that day, Ellie visited a mutual friend of hers and Maddie's, a woman who had noticed Maddie's isolation before the wedding. "Ellie, I've always suspected Devon's controlling ways," the friend whispered. "I didn't want to pry, but Maddie confided in me once. She's terrified of making waves." Ellie's mind raced. This wasn't just family drama anymore, it was a calculated manipulation, and she had the chance to intervene before things spiraled. She thanked the friend, promising discretion. Every ally, every small piece of support mattered. Back home, Ellie set up a careful plan. She helped Maddie draft small wins to regain autonomy, like texting friends privately, attending a yoga class alone, or making her own meals without Devon noticing. Each small act built confidence and weakened Devon's invisible chains. By evening, Maddie felt a glimmer of independence for the first time in months. Ellie noticed the spark in her daughter's eyes, the same spark she had seen as a little girl, building forts in the backyard, standing proud after a school play. That spark reminded Ellie why she had fought for Maddie her whole life, and why she couldn't let anything or anyone extinguish it. But Devon wasn't oblivious. Ellie had noticed subtle changes when she last visited, the rigid posture, the forced smiles, the controlled tone. He was always watching, always calculating. That meant Ellie needed patience, cunning, and perfect timing. Every step had to be deliberate. That night, Ellie sat in silence, listening to the hum of the city outside. She traced her plan in her notebook, noting timelines, observation points, and subtle interventions. Every detail mattered. This wasn't just about rescuing Maddie. It was about reclaiming power that had been denied to both mother and daughter for far too long. A small smirk tugged at her lips. The fire in her chest burned brighter. She wasn't just reacting anymore. She was orchestrating a strategy. And soon, Devon would learn that Ellie Grant was not a woman to be underestimated. The first sparks of rebellion had been lit, and Ellie knew the flame was only growing. Maddie's life, and her own, was about to change forever. Ellie leaned against the kitchen counter, eyes narrowed, listening through the slightly open door. Devon was packing, his voice low but sharp. Maddie sat across from him, silent, her fingers fidgeting. The tension was palpable. Even through the thin walls, Ellie could feel the power struggle in the room. Her stomach twisted. This is it, the first real test. She could see it in Maddie's posture when she had texted earlier, hesitant, uncertain, but ready. Ellie's heart swelled with a mix of pride and fear. She quietly sent Maddie a text. "Breathe. You've got this. I'm right here." Seconds later, a soft vibration in her pocket confirmed Maddie had read it. Ellie exhaled. Small steps. That was the key. Inside, Devon was raising his voice about a missed dinner plan, a trivial excuse to assert control. But Maddie didn't respond with fear. She responded with calm firmness. "Devon, I've decided I want to do things differently. I need some space and independence. You can't control every part of my life." Ellie's heart raced. That was the spark she had been nurturing. Maddie's voice wavered only slightly, but it carried conviction. Devon froze mid-gesture, eyes narrowing. "Excuse me, who are you becoming?" he barked, clearly thrown off by the sudden assertiveness. Maddie's hands trembled slightly, but she lifted her chin. "The woman I always wanted to be, and the woman I'm allowed to be." Ellie's pulse quickened as she watched the first real crack in Devon's facade. He tried to mask surprise with anger, but the subtle tension in his jaw betrayed him. Ellie knew this moment, this tiny shift in power, was what she had been waiting for. She stayed outside, pretending to be absorbed in her phone, but listening intently. Maddie continued, carefully controlled. "I'm starting with small things like managing my own schedule, choosing who I see, and taking control of my decisions. I'm not asking for permission. I'm stating a fact." Ellie's chest tightened with emotion. Yes, yes. She could almost see the invisible chains loosening. Every small act of autonomy was a victory, and she felt Maddie's courage radiating through the walls like a pulse of light. Devon's response was a tense silence, broken finally by a frustrated huff. "You think you can just change things overnight?" he muttered, packing again. But Ellie noticed the subtle shift. He was cautious, careful. For the first time, he didn't dominate. Maddie exhaled, finally allowing herself a small smile. It was shaky, but it was genuine. Ellie's own eyes blurred. Pride, relief, and a surge of determination washed over her. Her daughter was waking up. Ellie texted again, "You're doing amazing. Keep holding that ground. I'm proud of you." The night air felt electric as she walked back to her car. Something fundamental had shifted. The power balance had begun to tilt. Ellie knew the road ahead was long, and Devon would retaliate. But for the first time, she saw that he wasn't untouchable. Ellie's lips curved into a confident, fierce smile. This was only the beginning. Maddie's empowerment was real, and the storm that had been quietly building in Ellie's heart was about to break loose. The first crack had appeared in Devon's perfect world, and Ellie knew that once the next move landed. Ellie sat in her car outside a coffee shop, fingers drumming on the steering wheel, heart pounding. Today was a critical day. Maddie had agreed to meet a trusted friend, a woman who knew Devon's manipulative tendencies. It was a small move, but a powerful one. Every step forward built Maddie's confidence, and every tiny victory chipped away at Devon's control. Her phone buzzed. Maddie's text, "I'm inside, Mom. Wish me luck." Ellie exhaled sharply. Luck? You don't need luck, baby. You need courage, and you've got it. She watched through the window as Maddie entered, head high but shoulders tense. Even from a distance, Ellie could see the flicker of fear, tempered by determination. Inside, the friend greeted Maddie warmly, leading her to a corner booth. They spoke quietly, exchanging details about Devon's behavior, hidden manipulations, and ways Maddie could gradually reclaim her autonomy. Maddie listened intently, nodding, occasionally wiping a tear from her cheek. Ellie's mind raced. She could see the pattern forming: observation, empowerment, subtle resistance. Maddie was learning to assert herself without triggering Devon's wrath, building the foundation for a bigger confrontation. Back in her car, Ellie reflected on the first confrontation in Devon's apartment. That small crack had set everything in motion. Devon's control wasn't absolute. His carefully constructed facade could be destabilized with precision. And Ellie, she was finally ready to orchestrate that. Her phone buzzed again, a message from Aunt Rosa. Time to escalate. Carefully, but you know what to do. Ellie's lips curled into a grim smile. Step by step, they would dismantle Devon's grip, and Maddie would emerge stronger, independent, and unafraid. Later that evening, Ellie called Maddie. "How are you feeling?" she asked, voice gentle. I feel lighter, Mom. Like I can breathe a little," Maddie admitted, voice trembling but hopeful. "That's exactly it," Ellie said firmly. "You're reclaiming space in your own life. And remember, every small step is a victory. Keep observing, keep learning, and never let him gaslight you into doubting yourself." Maddie laughed softly, almost incredulously. "It feels weird, like I have power again." Ellie smiled. "We're just getting started." "Good. Use that feeling, store it, because soon we'll need all the courage you've got for the bigger moves." That night, Ellie stayed up late, reviewing every piece of evidence she had, planning the next phase. Subtle but decisive actions that would force Devon to reveal more of himself, to slip under pressure, and to expose cracks that could no longer be hidden. She drafted careful questions, planned ways to gently test his patience, and mapped out allies who could quietly support Maddie. As she leaned back in her chair, she allowed herself a rare moment of satisfaction. The storm she had been nurturing quietly in her heart was starting to take shape, and the first winds of change were sweeping through Maddie's life. Ellie's eyes glinted with fierce determination. This wasn't just about protection. It was about reclaiming dignity, exposing lies, and teaching her daughter that she didn't need permission to stand tall. The subtle game had begun, and with each careful move, Ellie knew Devon's control was slipping. But little did they know, the real storm was just around the corner. Ellie sat at her desk, the city lights casting shadows across her determined face. She had been meticulously observing, planning, and preparing Maddie for weeks now. Each small victory, Maddie texting friends, asserting her own choices, refusing Devon's subtle manipulations, was like a spark in the dark. But tonight was about creating a fire. Maddie's text arrived just as Ellie was reviewing notes. "He's more tense than usual. I think he suspects something. Mom, I'm scared." Ellie's chest tightened, but she didn't falter. "Good," she whispered to herself. "Fear means he's feeling it too. That's when the cracks show." Ellie knew she had to tread carefully. Direct confrontation was too dangerous. Subtle exposure, a strategic push, would work far better. She instructed Maddie to record small conversations with Devon, nothing obvious, just snippets of control, manipulations, and veiled threats. Every clip would be proof, a shield against his gaslighting. That evening, Ellie accompanied Maddie to a casual errand at a nearby grocery store, careful to keep it low profile. Maddie walked with a newfound poise, and Ellie marveled at the change. The girl who had trembled in her own home weeks ago now held her head high, scanning, observing, ready to reclaim her life. "Mom," Maddie whispered, glancing around, "I feel powerful, scared but powerful." Ellie's lips curved into a proud smile. "That's it, baby. That's the feeling we want. Use it, store it, we're building momentum." Back at home, Devon's subtle anxiety was evident. He hovered near Maddie, questioning her choices, watching her phone, but Ellie noticed his tension, slight, almost imperceptible, but it was there. He was aware that something was shifting, and that awareness made him vulnerable. Ellie texted Maddie, "Stay calm. Keep him guessing, document everything. You're stronger than he thinks." Hours later, a confrontation began, not explosive, but deliberate. Maddie used calm, assertive language to push back against Devon's control, referencing small decisions he had tried to manipulate. Devon's reactions were telling, his voice slightly sharper, his posture defensive, his patience cracking. Ellie watched from the living room corner, quietly observing. This was the moment she had been cultivating, Devon's first real reaction to resistance, the first visible crack in his carefully constructed armor. Maddie's confidence grew with each response. She no longer apologized for asserting herself. She no longer flinched at his tone, and Ellie felt a surge of pride and exhilaration. Finally, Devon threw up his hands in frustration. You're not the same Maddie I married," he snapped. Maddie's lips curled in a small, triumphant smile. "Exactly, and I'm not going to be controlled anymore." Ellie's pulse raced. The tipping point had been reached. Maddie was no longer timid, no longer silenced. And Devon, he was vulnerable, exposed, and on edge. Ellie exhaled, feeling both relief and anticipation. The battle was far from over, but the scales were finally shifting. Her daughter had found her voice, and the woman who had been pushed aside was now orchestrating every move with precision. The first cracks had widened, and the next move would hit harder. Ellie knew that once Devon's true face was fully revealed, nothing would ever be the same. Ellie sat in her car outside Devon and Maddie's apartment, heart pounding with anticipation. Tonight was the night. Every small victory, every careful observation, every ounce of courage Maddie had built, it all led to this. She clutched her phone, reviewing the recordings Maddie had secretly made, evidence of Devon's manipulation, controlling behavior, and subtle threats. She glanced at the glowing city lights and whispered to herself, "This ends tonight." Inside the apartment, Devon was restless, packing as Maddie calmly arranged a few things on the counter. He had begun noticing the subtle shift, the growing independence, the quiet defiance, the refusal to yield. And tonight, the confrontation would bring everything to the surface. "Mom, I'm ready," Maddie whispered over a quick text. Ellie exhaled, feeling a surge of pride and protectiveness. "You've got this, baby. We've got this together." Ellie entered, calmly but confidently, catching Devon off guard. He froze for a moment, eyebrows raised, sensing the unspoken tension. "Ellie, what are you doing here?" he asked, his voice slightly wary. "I'm here to make sure Maddie's voice is heard," Ellie replied firmly, her eyes steady. "And to make sure no one manipulates her, controls her, or silences her ever again." Maddie stepped forward, shoulders squared, the fire in her eyes unmistakable. "Devon, I've kept silent too long. No more, I'm taking back my life. You will respect me or I walk." Devon laughed nervously, trying to mask frustration with authority. "You think you can just..." Ellie interrupted, holding up her phone. "We have proof, Devon. Every manipulation, every subtle threat, every time you tried to isolate her. It's all here." She swiped through recordings and messages, each one revealing his controlling behavior. Devon's confident posture faltered, his mask cracking for the first time. Maddie took a deep breath. "I'm done being afraid. You can't define me anymore, and I won't let anyone, especially you, try to erase who I am." Ellie's heart swelled. Her daughter, once trembling and silenced, now stood firm, empowered, radiant with courage. And Devon? He was cornered, exposed, powerless against the truth he had tried so hard to hide. The tension in the room was electric. Devon's attempts at intimidation were useless. The evidence, the newfound confidence, and Ellie's unwavering support formed an unshakable wall. Maddie didn't flinch, and Ellie didn't allow him to regain control. Finally, Devon slumped in defeat. His sharp words and cold dominance were gone, replaced by an uneasy silence. Maddie exhaled, a shaky but genuine smile forming. She had reclaimed herself. She had reclaimed her life. Ellie stepped closer, placing a hand on Maddie's shoulder. "You did it, baby. You found your voice. You didn't just survive, you thrived." Maddie's eyes shimmered with tears, but this time they were tears of relief, pride, and liberation. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mom." Ellie smiled softly, a mix of joy and triumph washing over her. This is what empowerment looks like. This is what self-respect feels like. We are unstoppable together. As they embraced, a new chapter began, not just for Maddie, but for Ellie too. The years of exclusion, heartbreak, and struggle were finally giving way to freedom, strength, and a sense of victory that no one could take away. Ellie knew one thing for certain. Sometimes, the greatest love a mother can give isn't sacrifice. It's empowering her child to fight, to stand, and to live boldly. The storm had passed, the chains were broken, and Maddie's life and Ellie's was finally free. But the fire they ignited would never fade, a testament to courage, love, and the power to reclaim one's life. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the story.